Hello, it's Jay here again and welcome to another video. So in this lesson we're going to create a switch block that is going to manage these two functions here. Now why use a switch block? Well, it's quite simple. It ensures that the code in any one function is the only code being read at that particular moment. So for example, when we're in the splash screen fade in state, only the code in this block will be read, and the code that will be inputting into this block will not be. And of course, when we change and switch to the fade out state, the opposite's true. So all the code will be read in this function and none in this one. So we'll begin by creating the block, and I'm going to come here below the void update. It can be of type private, and we cannot use void. We need to use IEnumerator. Now this is normally used to return numeric values. However, we're going to use it to return what state we should be in, whether this block or this block. Now we need to give it a naming convention, and we need to use the same naming convention we used in this line here, the start coroutine, and it's this naming convention here. In my case, the splash screen manager. We'll paste that in, and when we start coroutine, that is what we're starting. We're actually calling this function. So we'll come to the end, we'll open and close brackets, we'll open and close again. We'll come inside the brackets and we'll say while open and close brackets, come inside, true, come to the end, open and close again. So while the coroutine is active, and then we'll say switch, open and close brackets, we'll come inside, and what we need to switch is the state, the splash screen fade in or fade out, which is tied to this naming convention. The naming convention we've given it is underscore splash screen controller, so that's what we need to switch. So let's just copy and paste that inside the brackets. We'll come to the end of the line, we'll open and close. And again, we'll come inside the brackets. Now, we'll begin with the first state, the splash screen fade in. And to do this, we say case, and we want splash screen controller dot splash screen fade in. Now, at the end of the line here, we need to use a full colon, not the normal semicolon we use when we normally close the line off. Must be a full colon in this instance. We'll come to the dot line below, and then we'll just call this function, and we'll call it by copying the name convention in. We'll open and close brackets, and we'll close the line off. And now we're back to using a semicolon. Next line, break, semicolon again, and we'll enter there. So these two lines, semicolon, this line, the case line, full colon. So with that said, let's copy these three lines, and we can just paste those in, and all we need to do is switch out the naming convention to splash screen fade out here and here as well. And then we're going to come here after the first closed bracket. Now, because we're not returning a numeric value this time. We just say yield return, but what we're returning in the sense of a numeric value is nothing, so we just say null. And we close the line off. So that's our little switch block created. Let's just save there for the moment. And we'll come to the first function, splash screen fade in. And because the volume begins at 0, we need to increase it. So we'll do that by saying splash screen audio. And remember, this naming convention equals our audio source via this line here. And we'll say dot and volume, and we'll say plus equals the splash screen fade speed. And we'll say times time dot delta time, and we'll close the line off. In the comments, we'll just say increase volume by, and we'll just say fade value. And we can actually copy this line. We'll paste it in below. Now, if we come here, we also need to increase the fade value, which also begins at 0. So we just need to change the first part of this line here. And we're going to change it to splash screen fade value. And that's all we need to put. We'll bring the comment back into line, and we'll just change it here to fade value as well. And that actually should be fade speed in the comments. Apologies. So let's just change that there. And let's copy these two lines, and we'll paste them in to the splash screen fade out. And as you can imagine, when we're fading out, we need to decrease, so we'll just change the plus to a minus sign. And that's all we need to do, apart from change the comment to decrease. And we'll just save that off there. And I think one last thing we'll do in this lesson is we'll come in here and we'll say if, we'll open and close brackets, and we'll say splash screen fade value greater than sign and 1. Now we'll come to the end of the line, but there's no need to close the line off this time. We'll come straight to the comments and we'll say if fade value is greater than 1, and then we'll enter there. We'll say splash screen fade value, we'll make it equal to 1, and now we can close the line off. We'll come into the comments and we'll say then set fade value to 1. And this makes sure we get a precise value of 1, because that's what it's going to change between the fade value here, between 0 and 1. Now, actually, this little if block should not be necessary, but I like to put these in just to make sure we do not encounter or create any bugs or errors in the functionality. So this is just like a little fail-safe. So this just makes sure we get a precise value. And again, we'll just copy that. We'll paste that in below in the splash screen fade out, and this time we'll say less than, so we'll change to the less than sign, and we'll say 0, and then we'll say 0 here as well. So let's just change the comment, and we'll just change greater to less than 1 than 0, that should be, and then we'll say then set fade value to 0. So we'll just save that there. So this now manages the fade in of the volume and the text. That's what we're actually adjusting with the fade value, is the text part. The volume's self-explanatory. We're making sure we're getting precise values of 1 and 0. And let's just downsize Mono Develop for now. And what we'll do in preparation for the next video, we'll come to File and Build Settings. And if we click this here, Add Open Scenes, it adds the splash screen we created. Let's just close that for the moment, and what we're going to do is come to File, and we want a new scene, and I'm going to come to the lighting settings, and I'm just going to untick Auto Generate. And what we're going to do is save this scene as, we'll come inside our scenes folder, and we're going to say controller warning. And this is because, if I just save that there, between the splash screen and the main menu, I'm going to have another scene load that will basically, it will, if we have a controller actually plugged into the PC, the screen will just remain up for a few seconds. However, if we do not have a controller plugged into the PC, it will remain in that scene until we actually do plug one in. Because as I said in the previous video, this is going to be a controller only game. So no mouse and keyboard, controller only. Just because I think it makes it a little bit different. As I said, I wanted to do a project that was all based on controller joypad inputs. And we'll come to build settings again, and we'll tick that, and we'll add the new scene, the controller warning scene. And we'll just close that there. If we come back to the script, now we do have more code for both of these functions. So I think we'll leave it here though, and we'll deal with that in the next lesson. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to see you next time, and until then, as always, bye for now.